He is Mark Fenner. And Mark, good afternoon, and how are you on this glorious Saturday?
Hey, Ken, great to be here. Good to talk to you.
Yes, it's good to talk to you again as well. First and foremost, if you're a small business, if you're someone who has been forced to close here in the last couple of months, if you're someone whose employee level might be 7, 10, maybe 12, maybe it's a dry cleaner, maybe it's a coffee shop, whatever it may be, you've gotten some money, hopefully, from the government. If the people inside the Beltway in Washington can ever get their act together, you may get some more money coming this week. But what should you be doing now that you've had this downtime and hopefully you're getting ready to fire up? What should small businesses be doing right now to prepare for this?
Well, they need to start thinking about how they're going to bring their employees back, and they need to understand, what kind of constraints their employees may have. Although business is going to open up, schools are not. So there's going to be some challenge. I guess maybe summer is going to come early. Employees are going to be better suited at that than others. I think also, Ken, they need to be communicating. They need to be communicating with their people, and they need to be communicating with their customers and doing the best they can to understand what things are going to look like when we get on the other side. And then lastly, how do they bring them back? I mean, the work from home genie's out of the bottle, and a lot of my clients are wrestling, do we stay work at home? Do we come back to the office, or do we look at a hybrid in between? And all those are questions they need to be pondering.
And all of that at this point, at least with that last point, to me is, it's all opinion. There's really nothing anecdotal to talk about. But I sense that a lot of these companies are seeing what employees can do from home from a productivity standpoint, and that's good. I tend to think we may see as a fallout from all of this a lot of unoccupied office space in some of these towers and bigger buildings in major metropolitan areas. That could be another fallout from this.
Well, I think you're exactly, I've got a client that's got quite a bit of space, a few 100,000 square feet of space, and their lease is up, so they're at a timely spot to make this decision. And we're leaning heavily toward that. I mean, there's some people that don't want to work at home. They're in a small apartment, they've got a spouse, they've got kids, they don't want to work from home. And so you need to create that space. But a lot of people like working from home, and assuming the economy is going to come roaring back, which I think a lot of people are projecting, the war for talent is going to become real again. And having the option to work from home gives you a much broader net in terms of looking for talent for your company.
By the way, you mentioned that. What is your forecast for the economy? Because you watch enough of these cable shows that deal with money in the markets, and you've got people all over the map, and all you have to have is one guy predicting doom and gloom. The guy that Krugman that wrote for the New York Times for many years said the minute Trump was elected, we were going into a deep recession or depression. Well, I suppose if you keep saying that long enough, it will happen. What do you foresee coming up?
Well, I think there's a lot of money out there, Ken. I think, given the short-term consequences, and Americans tend to have short memories, I'm expecting a strong push in Q3, Q4. Now, Q2, I think Q2 is going to be tough. And there's going to be a little bit of a reacclimation period of getting people comfortable going to restaurants and going out again. But if we can get, some of these drugs that can cure this thing, if the rates keep going down and people feel comfortable going out, I see it. I see us roaring back.
So you see a robust economy on the horizon, and you see some employers scaling back on things like office space because of work at home, and travel because of things like Zoom or whatever electronic video conferencing. The dynamic of all of this is going to change, it sounds like, but maybe not necessarily the economy is going to change.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got I was talking to a neighbor the other day, and he's in a business. He's got reps all over the country. He said he saved $100,000 already in travel expenses, and they're doing a lot of meetings through Zoom. And he said, I'm re-looking at my expense forecast and saying, why not continue that going forward? I've got another client that's built their business on doing events around the country and then flying people into their corporate office. They've realized that using Zoom and doing things through web conferencing is shortening their recruiting cycle as they bring on new partners to represent their products.
Yeah, which
so
is why
kind of force.
Yeah, which is why I question the wisdom of bailing out the major airlines. I know we have to have air travel in this country. I know people will travel for leisure eventually somewhere, but I think the business clientele of those airlines, I think they're going, and I'm talking about the major carriers, Delta, United, American. I think you're going to see a real fall off in business travel, not just what you related anecdotally. I think even a company like Procter & Gamble here, why send somebody from Cincinnati to Frankfurt, Germany, when you can have a video conference and accomplish the same damn thing for pennies? Why would you do that?
I tell you what, and it's pretty effective, Ken. I've been doing planning meetings. We're using breakout rooms and Zoom. And before, it's hard to test new ideas. It's hard to mandate off and try something that you think may be risky or not accepted. Well, guess what? We had no choice but to try it, and guess what? It worked pretty good. And so people are revisiting, do I really need to jump on a plane and fly around the country or fly around the world? Let's use these new technologies that are emerging.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. Mark Fenner, business strategist, our guest. He is a scaling up coach and business strategist. What in God's name is a scaling up coach? How did you come up with that one, Mark?
They used to be popular. I think if I was more timely, I'd be a scaling down coach as we navigate this. But we help companies grow. Good companies are either they're growing, right? Everything in nature is either growing or it's dying, and so to really create a robust culture and a vibrant place to want to work, which is the key to building any great company. You've got to grow, you've got to scale up, and so we work with companies around people strategy, execution, and cash strategies to enable them to do that.
One of the things and we talked about this initially, that's a byproduct of what we're going through is stress. Stress is enormous, not maybe because of someone that has lost their job, although 22 million have, and I can't think of a more stressful situation other than a debilitating disease. Some may be stressed because of the living situation. We mentioned that too. I guess my question in all of this is that productivity for workers, which was robust 3 months ago, and workers had their choice of jobs. Companies were fighting over people to try and get their employment ranks filled. Now all of a sudden it is such a stressful situation for employees. What would you suggest, both from the employee and from the employer, at the end of all of this, so we can, at some way, shape, or form, get back to what we all knew the latter part of 2019 and the first month or two of 2020?
Well, great question, Ken. For the employers, there's nothing more important. If you want to have happy clients, you got to have happy employees. So, in my opinion, there's nothing more important than being intentional about your culture, your employer brand. Who are I throw around the term A players. Who are the A players that you want to attract and keep and as part of your organization? And so clients are looking at for those A players, and there's going to be a lot available in the marketplace. And so if it's going to be competitive for a little while. And so as an employee, you want to be thinking about how can you uniquely add value. When you're stressed, it's easy to turn inside. Mm-hmm. It's not like my situation. I'm unhappy. I don't want to do what I'm having to do. But you've got to look at how can I add value. You may not like the job you're doing right now because it's not what you were hired to do or whatever the situation. But guess what? Do it to the best of your abilities. Be a part of the solution, not part of the problem, and you'll never be worried about where do I find a place to work.
Well, let's hope for all better days ahead. Like I said, here, green light comes in May, but other states are far from that. Mark Fenner, business strategist, you can find him at riseperformancegroup.com. riseperformancegroup.com. Mark, thank you so much for your time again. We appreciate it. Have a great Saturday.
Ken, you too. Take care.